Greetings. This is Skyler Saunders seeing what's current. As we see, this is what Troy Star Terrain, Mr. Troy Star Terrain would say was a blackout Friday on his show, Starring Buck Wild. It's like that. I don't have any notes. I don't have a story. I'm just gonna flow off the top of the dome, just like any hip hop head that knows what they're doing on the mic. So I'm gonna try to make a show out of what I understand as the history. I'm gonna maybe read a few quotes from hip hop legends, and I hope you enjoy this show. This is my first morning show. I'm gonna see how many people tune in and like it. The target for today is $80. That's the target. So I'm gonna see if we can get to $80 on that. I appreciate everything that you all have contributed in the past, and I hope you continue to contribute so I can make the show even better. That's the whole point of all this. I want to make the show, the best it can possibly be. So I'm putting up my Cash App, and also another note: subscribe to Spirit Smooth Tunes on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that gentleman. He is definitely putting in the work. He has an excellent channel, and make sure you check him out and subscribe. Now, let's go back, way back. I'm talking about 2 years ago, and I was just a wee little boy, about 3 years old, and the first hip hop song I think I've ever heard was OPP by Naughty by Nature. That's the first one I ever remember hearing. I was sitting in the back of a car. I might have been in a car seat, but I don't think so. I think I was just sitting in in the car, and I heard this song. This song was like ting, 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 ting. Hope I don't get a copyright strike for that. But it just it just hit me. I was like, I never heard anything like this before. What is this sound? What is this about? Who makes these kind of records? Who makes these kind of songs? I didn't have that in my mind at the time. I was just like, where's this music? Where's the sound coming from? What is this about? And I had no idea what the lyrics meant until years later, what the OPP actually stood for. Um, so it was a learning experience from then on. Fast forward two years, I'm not even in hip hop at all. I'm 5 years old. I'm not really paying attention to hip hop. I'm singing uh working on the railroad songs, and I have my older sisters. They're listening to mainly R&B, but this is the thing. This is what happened during the 90s. The 90s came in, and there were like, instead of the break being a saxophone solo, it would be a rap. There would be, the singer making a song, or the beginning of the song be a rap, then a singing verse, and then a bridge, and then a rap again, and then a verse or a chorus. So I was just enthralled by the whole thing, the whole makeup of the idea of hip hop. I was just thrown into it by my older sisters. They introduced me to it. They introduced me to the idea of it. So I was just flabbergasted, to use the word. I was just completely taken aback by the people like Big, of course Naughty by Nature, like I said before, Bone Thugs and Harmony, TLC, the late great Lisa Left Eye Lopez. She had her rap breaks. She's in my top 10 probably best female rappers. She's probably in my top 10, top 15, something like that. I'll give you my top five female and male rappers in just a few moments. But it is something that is so special to me, this hip hop thing, because this is what I grew up on. This is the difference between the generations. Your granddaddy hates your daddy's music, your daddy hates your music, and you hate your son's music. That's how it goes. Usually. I mean, some people in their 60s and 70s and 80s love hip hop and can tell you, the history and the different modes and different sounds of and different areas. I'm watching a documentary right now called Hip Hop Evolution. It's very engrossing and it's very in depth, and I think it's really well made. Uh, it's produced by a Canadian, so we had to have a Canadian come down to America to tell people what's up. But this is the celebration. This is hip hop celebration. August 11th, 1973, a birthday party. DJ Kool Herc hooked up the turntables, hooked up the mics, hooked up the big speakers, huge speakers hanging out of his car, and that was the origins of hip hop. That was the very beginning. That was the inception. That's what created this whole thing. That's what made this special. And people were saying it's devolving. They call it the hip hop evolution in the documentary, but you have people like Lupe Fiasco, whom I respect tremendously, and I like his music. He's saying that hip hop's in a de-evolution phase. He's saying that it's not living up to its fullest potential anymore. You have trap music, you have the proliferation of different other genres coming through, like pop, that are asking for people like Gucci Mane and Lil Uzi Vert and people like that to come on to their songs, which I think is great. But a lot of people are not really taking that to heart, or enjoying that reality. But I think it's a great thing for the genre, for the culture, as people like to say. I mean, there are so many elements, and I can list them all. I'm gonna list them all. There are really 9 elements. It goes breakdancing, rapping, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. We've seen that evolve over these past few years. We've seen that all take place within the span of 50 years. And it really is a generational thing, because you have, and it's also a cultural thing. It's more so cultural and generational. Because if you grew up on hip hop, you were probably born post 1973. That's when hip hop started to come into the mainstream. And you had huge acts. You had people like Curtis Blow. You had the Beatles of rap, people say. Run DMC. And I'll guess the Rolling Stones of hip hop and rap would be NWA. They came with a harder edge, even though Run DMC was hard in their heyday. They were hard. They came through with the leather jackets and the fedoras and the Adidas and the jeans, the black jeans and the t-shirts. They came through with the strength. But you also had different groups like Eric B and Rakim. You had Public Enemy. You had even some people disagree with them and don't discount them as pioneers. But the Beastie Boys, they're not whack, as long as people say, in my account, they're not whack. They were just pioneers. Just again, just like the same thing. It's like that flow. It's like it's that same flow, that flow that carried throughout the decade of the 80s. And then of course, Run DMC had this huge smash crossover hit with "Walk This Way" with Aerosmith from one of their previous records. That was amazing. That was exciting. That whole time period, I never even knew about it. I wasn't even born yet. But I started to watch, MTV documentaries, and I watched the videos that they used to play. They'll play, Throwback Thursdays and all these things on MTV Jams, now BET Jams, because they both are owned by Viacom. So there was competition. And people want to forget that hip hop, was like a tug of war between MTV and BET for a long time. Because BET would automatically play a record, by a hip hop artist, and MTV would be like, well, there was an interview that was with David Bowie, because and David Bowie was like, "Who's this really cool?" He just took. He's like, "Oh, that's very interesting." Okay, because he knew that he was married to Iman, a black supermodel, and he knew that that was a racist statement, and obviously because all the music virtually is black music in America. All popular music is black music. Everything that has come out, even country. You have country music stars. You have the late great Charlie Pride. You have people. I won't name names, but He comes from Milton, Delaware. If you can look him up, country singer, black country singer from Milton, Delaware. Look that up. Comes from my home state, and he it just gets to a point where you say you have to respect the blues, jazz, gospel, soul, rock and roll, R&B, freestyle, hip hop. All these things have been included in the hip hop or the black experience, and it should be applauded and lauded. They should be taken into account. They should be revered. These pioneers, these architects of the game, just as Little Richard and Chuck Berry were architects of rock and roll. We have to have placements and statues for people that came to the game and revolutionized it. People dump on MC Hammer. MC Hammer was the man. He was the first superstar, gigantic star to come out of hip hop. The first one to get deals with KFC and other corporations. He was the first one to do that on a large scale. I mean, you had Run DMC. They had the sneaker deal with Adidas, of course, but you have people like MC Hammer, who took to the idea of crossing over and making a huge splash. Now he sadly had financial issues, and that became a sticking point in many a rapper's songs. They took the liberty of just saying who he was and what he did, but I think those are more acknowledgments, and just cautionary tales. He had a whole lot of dancers. He had a whole lot of people on his payroll. He had it was spiraling out of control. He had the house. He had to foreclose on it. But I digress. Hip hop, 50 years. 50 years today. On a Friday, the day for partying, and the day for cashing and going out and looking fly, and getting talking to some girls. I'm talking for the heterosexual side. You're looking for a female, a young woman to pull and have a good time with. That's what this is. That's what hip hop was. The foundation was peace, love, unity, and having fun. That was hip hop. And I'll even quote from KRS-One. He says, August 11th, 1973. I was one of the many kids running up and down the block. He had no idea we were starting hip hop, he said. And I look when I come through and I say, man, look how far we've actually come over a 50-year period. 50 years of. Now, he is one of the elders. This is an article by Derek Walter of ABC 7 New York, because there's a big concert with hip hop legends Busta Rhymes, Remy Ma, Fat Joe, and many others that are performing at Yankee Stadium in New York City. So it's a huge event, and there's going to be more parties to go on because it's the 50th year. There's going to be more issues that are going to be at hand. Nas's birthday, he turned 50 in September. or yeah, it's September. I think it's September 4th. I'm not. Let me make 100% sure. I want to make 100% sure. September 14th. September 14th, 1973. Nas will be 50 years old. He'll be old as hip hop. He came in again. There are so many people to mention. I'm gonna try to get to as many people as I can in my story as well. Okay, so we have I'm 8 years old. This is 96. The first time I hear Jay Z. Jay Z. I heard Jay Z's voice for the first time in 1996. Heard him talking about it was either 95 or 96, but I was either 7 or 8, and I heard ain't no nigga, and it just once again mesmerizing. Keep you fresher than the next chick. Whispy and see the exit. Indeed, like I was like, who is this and what are they doing? Is this legal? can they can they get on the record and talk this way? Can they say these things? Foxy Brown was in there. She's probably my top 20, top 30, top 40. But Jay's in my top 10. He's not my number one artist, and I'll explain later. But you can fast forward, 97, 98. Once again, 98. Doom, 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 doom. Jay Z. Again, it's a hard knock life. Ghetto anthem. That was the song to skate to. We were skating to that song. I was 10 years old, or 9 years old, really at that time. But yeah, I was going to the beat, going trying to get as much as I can out of understanding what was going on. And it just took a while for me to realize that so many people were. He turned around and did 5 million albums. He sold 5 million. Very few people alive can sell 5 million albums. When you're dead, oh yeah, you'll go platinum, you'll go diamond, you'll go. Nobody will mind a minute if you go diamond when you're dead, or if you go multi-platinum when you're dead. But he was alive. He sold 5 million albums. He's never been able to achieve that status. Never been able to surpass it. Then you fast forward again. I'm 10, 11 years old. 1999. Cash Money. Well, before that, 98, 98, 97, 98. Let me go back in time a little bit. 97 and 98. 97 was Will Smith. He was in my CD changer or my cassette deck. If you kids don't know what a cassette deck, ask your aunties and your uncles and your grandparents and your parents. It was in my cassette deck. Puffy. I thought Puffy and Mace were on top of it, and I thought they really had a lock on the hip hop world. I thought they had much to do. I didn't know about Tupac until he died. Really, I didn't know what he was about. Really, I heard his songs, but I didn't understand everything that was coming out of his mouth. But I knew he was a force to be reckoned with, even though I didn't understand everything that was being said. Now, Puffy, Mace, he said it in the song. Take hits from the 80s and make it sound so crazy. That was his whole thing, making, taking dusties or dusty old soul samples and making them shiny and brand new, like the shiny suit man that he, became famous for being with Mace. All in the videos with the suits that had to look like tinfoil almost or something like that. They had the shimmery stuff, going through the videos, More Money, More Problems, and Mace's songs and different things like that. Was it Bad, 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 Bad Boy? You make me feel so good. That song, Harlem, I think let me make 100% sure what song was. I think I have an idea of it. I think I have a clue. Feels so good. So, oh, representing in the house, marvelous. In the building. Somebody in the chat room. Somebody said something. I know what you do, but respect the target nonetheless. Do whatever you can. I can already tell you can do something. I upped it a grade because I had back-to-back days, you know, over $40. Even though I didn't make the goal one day, I took the dollars from the previous day and made it, for I double it each day, I double it each time that happens. So whatever you can do, used to do, I would appreciate whatever you do. Thank you. So with the idea of hip hop, Will Smith, I think is in my top 10. To tell you the truth. Keep my wife's name out your mama. That's way before, that's way after, 5 years old in comedy. Everyone look at you. I say, damn, a little me, just like me. He's gonna be tall because you got your dad's ears and all. And like he had the flow. I don't care what anyone says. And it was in the mouth of Jay-Z. He said it more than twice, or at least twice. Still sold more records than Will Smith. Because Will Smith was popping. I mean, he's technically still popping, but after that slap incident, that just tore everything to shreds in a lot of people's minds. In my minds, I thought he should have been arrested on the spot for assault and battery, but that's just me. But I digress again. We have to have the time to talk about rapper, entrepreneur, NBA basketball player, yes, rap chips and cereal shiller, the man, the myth, the legend, Master P. Now, I'll release my top 5 right now. Number 5, Big Boy of Outkast. Number 4, No Malice of the Clips. Number 3, Jadakiss. Number 2, Twista. Number 1, Master P. Master P set a whole nother precedent for who it is. I've skipped him. You're like, well, you didn't mention this and you didn't mention that. I'm talking about the people in my life that I paid attention to in hip hop. Because there's dozens of acts that I didn't mention. There's people like Cypress Hill I didn't get to talk about. I didn't talk about the intricacies of Tupac's oeuvre, how you say that word. But Master P is the number 1 for me because he came out with Make 'Em Say, and I was like, what? And he said, na 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 na, and then the video it was just like they're playing basketball. They had the tanks, they had the missile fire, and Mystical was on top of the backboard. I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. He had a whole team. He had No Limit Soldiers, and he's obviously had an impact on the game because people want to follow his blueprint. People want to follow his way. Now, of course, he's not the most lyrically dexterous spitter on the mic that can, form metaphors and similes and double entendres and all kinds of imagery. But the fact that he had in his mind to be an entrepreneur extraordinaire, an entrepreneur that knew what was coming down the pipe. He knew in the future of what could be within hip hop. And he played it out. He even brought in Snoop Dogg. Going back in the story, 94, 95. I'm 6 and 7 years old. I hear the do 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 do, and that's the gin and juice. And then what's my name? Snoop Doggy Dog. And I'm trying not to get a strike on the copyright, but Snoop was another one. I listened to it and I paid attention to. He had a whole different flow. He had different lyrics. He had a different style, and I still didn't understand what was going on all the way. I didn't understand all the lyrics, but I could still, groove to the sound of the beat and flow with the words, even though I didn't know what they were. But he's in my top 20 most likely. I haven't discussed the 20 yet, but fast forward to 1997, and there's Missy Super Duper Fly, one of the pioneers of, I guess, avant-garde music and hip hop. She was on the cutting edge, especially in her videos. She was a pioneer in videos, but we must not contain videos inside the capsule of what hip hop is. Art is different from commercials. There are aspects of commercials that are like art, like acting and writing and directing, and that's part of art of filmmaking, cinema. But for you to make a song and then a video to follow that means that you're making a commercial. You're making commerce. You're trying to push the record. But she pushed the boundaries of what it meant to be an MC. Because of her wild videos. They're like, what is it? She's wearing a plastic bag? She's wearing a trash bag thing going on? They're like, what is going on? What is happening? And it just seems like it's a long road to understand what she was trying to do. But respect to her, but I don't think she was one of the greatest rappers. She has very little talent on the mic, I say. Very little talent. And that's just an objective hate, way of saying it. I'm hating, but I'm being objective about it because she still has merit in the sense that she knew how to commercialize her songs. She had very striking videos to go with her tunes. But okay, so I went to 97, then 98 was a big year for hip hop. I mean, we go back to 88, my birth year. That was a big year for hip hop. There was Public Enemy, there was Roxanne Shante, there was so many different groups that came out of that era. And like even a few years later, with De La Soul and A Tribe Called Quest and different people like that. They had a whole style about them. They had a whole, functioning ideal about them. They had the whole thing, within their grasp. But they call 88 the greatest era or the greatest time for hip hop ever. They say that's the greatest year for hip hop. And they say, 10 years later was the second greatest year because you have Ja Rule, DMX, Jay-Z, you have Big Pun, you have, Eminem starting to come in the lane. So that was a special year, right before the Golden White Boy came in the game in '99, and that's when I knew it was, it was on and popping because black artists would have to step up their game because he was such a lyrical force. He had the dexterity, he had the imagery, he had the metaphors, he had the cadence, all down pat. But it took another group from the 1999 class after 1998 had passed. And it's Cash Money Records taking over for the 99 and 2000. When Juvenile and Lil Wayne and BG and Young Young Turk, or Little Turk, maybe it's a little. Let me make sure. Let me make sure or it was just Turk. I'm spelling gibberish if I don't say the right name. Yeah, it's called Turk or Young Turk from the Hot Boys. So he had every option. The audio's choppy. Chelsea Jackson says, "All right, and with the A, not with the E." Chelsea, not with an E, with an A. It's supposed to be with an E, darling. Um, it's all right. You don't have to apologize. My own family does it. They do it all the time. It's okay. It's just innocent. It's fixed. It sounds better. All right. How did you find me, by the way? I'm just gonna take a break and just ask you. How did you find me? How did you discover me? Did you find me on the Choice Star Terrain show on the night show? Okay, start for it. All right, I have a target for today. You can contribute to it. $80. You can do it all at once or do it in increments. I'll take fives and tens. I'll take tens and 20s. If we get more people in the room, we might be able to get 20 out of four people, and that'll set the that'll be all for the target. But we'll see what happens. All right. I wanted to say that hip hop, is not perfect, but I have to give it credit. I have to give it a lot of credit because it's what I grew up on. It's all I know. I don't know. I'm hardly even a hip hop head. I wouldn't even describe myself as a hip hop head. I don't know a lot of the issues, the lingo, the different slurs, and the language and the different slang. I don't know all of that. I just know what I know. And for someone to come in the game and realize what it means to be a hip hop star, that's what's so important. You know, that's why it's such a tug of war against saying, "Oh, it's just a genre," or "It's a culture." It's a genre. It's a culture. Like I said, I gave you 9 of the elements of hip hop. I would say it's a culture at that point. When you have 9 elements, or not even related to music, related to the specific parts of music, not making the music, but on the outskirts of the music. That's what is so fascinating. That is what's so amazing. When you have 9 different elements that coalesce and make something that's beautiful. So where am I? 99, 2000. Okay, 2000. It was a sad year that I understood. I didn't understand, Tupac and Biggie's deaths. I only heard my mom say, "You live by the gun, you die by the gun." That's how she said about Tupac's death, and I'm sure she said the same thing about Biggie's. I didn't understand their lives or their deaths until much later. So for her, to give me that bit of knowledge on the idea of what it is, I think it's in the Bible even. I mean, it's just a sad situation, and then not even with guns, just being overweight, obese, like Big Pun, a masterful storyteller, a masterful lyricist, masterful. Probably in my top 10. Probably in my top 10 male rappers. They exhibit something that most rappers have no clue about. Big Pun had the idea of spitting multiple syllabic ideals at at a fast pace. Few rappers can do that. Few rappers had a chance, and he was a large guy. He was obese, and he had the tongue action and the breath control to convey his message. That was very deep. It was very. It wasn't just like he was saying words just to say words. He had a whole style. I can, man, when I hear his first, lyrics to first song, the songs, first thing that comes to my head are like, "You can catch me in a cherry red 150." Like that, just just sets off a alarm bells. That just it's just hot. Just like you're drawn in automatically. Like, why is he sitting in a cherry red 150? Like, you just have an understanding of what is going on in the rapper's mind and Big Pun's mind, and that was big. That was Big Pun. 2000, and so many other things happened in 2000. We have multiple different singles. I mean, who was popping again at that time? Maybe Eve. My I'll give you my top 5 female rappers: MC Light, Lil Kim, Nicki Minaj, Eve, and Queen Latifah. Those are my top 5 female rappers, and Eve especially. Eve is number 2, but I think Queen Latifah just edged her because she had even more aggressive, more powerful message with UNITY. I think that was her hallmark song. That's going to be that can go down in history as one of the best songs ever created. Yes, Chelsea. Yes, very much so. I agree. Respect that target. Do whatever you can. Do you know my Cash App? Here's my Cash App. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Holy moly. Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. We need to take this closer. All right, now 65. Hey, girl, girl, if you want to talk, I am appreciative. I don't care. You're a rider because you're not a free rider. You're not a free loader. You're one of the ones that put in the money and the support, and I definitely appreciate it. You put up more than most. Some don't put up that much. Some put up a little bit more, but I definitely appreciate what you did. And if you can, now that you sent me that money, tell 2 friends, 2, 2 friends that this is a show that needs to be watched, but don't let 3 friends know. Don't tell the 3rd friend. Let them figure it out on their own. Say, who is this goofy? Who is this lame on here talking mess with the hat on and a tie and a shirt? Who is that? Let that 3rd person wonder. But tell 2 friends. That would help out the broadcast tremendously. And marvelous, marvelous. You, I'm not going to harp on you, but the lady, she put down $15. I don't know. It's looking funny now, sir. She put down 15. I got $65 to go to the end of the target. You can help me out. Help a brother out. Help a brother out. I'm not a brother. I'm not your brother. I was just joking. Yes, thank you. Share it on Twitter. When Spill comes in, make sure you share it on Spill. and I appreciate and also, are you working right now? Are you working, Chelsea? I'm just curious. Are you working right now, or are you off today, or what's happening? I'm doing a show that I don't usually do. I don't do it usually. I usually don't do a morning show. Oh, okay. So, are you saying you're working from home currently? Is that what you're saying? From home? Okay. Okay. I appreciate. Hey, if you are you working, you're working at the same time. You're working and watching me. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But back to this hip hop and my journey with hip hop. We're at 99, 2000, 2001. Humongous year, especially for America. If you don't know, now you know. September 11th, 2001 happened in New York City, Washington, D.C., and a field in Pennsylvania, Shanksville. I need background noise at times. We'll listen to Star and heard your sponsor at the end. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm glad that the sponsor at the end worked. I'm glad that's working. But no. Thank you again, Chelsea. I seriously appreciate it. And I miss Jackson because I'm nasty. Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh. Can't say anymore. I'll get a copyright strike. But anyway, no. 2001 was a bitter year. It's the first year of the century. A lot of people think 2000 was the first century, but there was no year zero. There was only year one. There was no zero. So one is the beginning of everything, and 2001 was the beginning of the new millennium and the new century. And it began with a ugly, disgusting, horrible bang. A few bangs. The Twin Towers were destroyed. Nearly 3,000 Americans lost their lives. It was a terrible issue. But within hip hop, it was still slings and arrows. It wasn't like it was backing down. It paused. It gave out charitable donations and songs. I think they had a song with Alicia Keys, Bono, Christina Aguilera, Ja Rule, Nelly. And that's another thing. I'll go back to 2000 with Nelly. Woo! Nelly came in, blew off the doors. Hot ish, just crazy. Just, I'm going down, down. Like, that's how you write a song. That's catchy as hell. He did his thing with that. And like I said, I'm skipping all around because I'm trying to remember everybody. But I'm just saying this is my journey. This is how my lens on the hip hop genre and culture. You have to have, there's certain people like Jean-Michel Basquiat, if I'm saying his name correctly, and let me make sure, I may be saying it incorrectly, but he was one of the greatest artists of all time. One of the greatest he's within the hip hop generation. You hear him his names in the songs of Rick Ross and Jay-Z. But he died at 27. He was part of the 27 Club of hip hop artists and rock artists and musicians and other visual artists that died at the age of 27. But it took them a while to see that he was so great. At the time of his death, he was pretty popping. He was pretty hot, but he didn't achieve massive attraction. He didn't achieve mass appeal, sadly. But that's just another story. But going back to 2000, you had. I want to say, hold on, wait 1 second. Hold up. I want to make sure I got this right. Oh, this came in 2001. Okay. All right, so I'll talk about 2001. Kaya. She came out with My Neck, My Back. That was a nasty song. If you really listen to the lyrics, you say, "Damn, this lady is going crazy. This female is out of her mind." But it became a hot record. It became a hit record. But going back to other female rappers like Eve, Eve came out with a song called "Love Is Blind." That was a monumental song. Monumental. It was about physical domestic abuse. That was the main idea of it. She had a narrative. She had a story within the song. I remember she I can't remember what talk show host it was, but she was on a talk show and the topic was about domestic violence, and she performed the song there. And I just thought that was really cool. I thought she was popping for a good time. She had her time. A lot of people come in the game, do their business, and get out. They got bigger things to do. She's got a billionaire to marry, or at least 100 millionaire to marry. You know, she knows the deal is. It's like Serena Williams and Salma Hayek. They know what the deal is. they, they know what time it is. Let's get these billionaires and these 100 millionaires and get it popping. All right, but I digress again. 2001. That was also a song that was released in 2001. Kaya's My Neck, My Back. But in the midst, right beforehand, Jay-Z and Nas. That was a monumental battle. Super beef. But Jay-Z even had more than that. He had, songs against Mobb Deep. He said, you was a ballerina. I got the pictures. I seen you. And he put that on the Summer Jam screen. And everybody went crazy. They're like, oh, he's a ballerina. Oh my God. He's talking all that tough stuff. He was in there doing Perriers and pirouettes and against the horizontal poles. That was funny. That was funny. And then he came at Nas. He said, Nas don't want to win Hove. No! And then Nas brought it into the lexicon of hip hop speech. Ether. Oh my God. Jay-Z came in strong. Don't get me wrong. Takeover might be even better than Ether in a lot of respects. Because Ether is basically just a diss song at a lunch table. He's going at your physical features. He's going at, your background. He's going at what almost what he's wearing. But that happened all during 2001. That was almost like our distraction from what was happening. Because every day it was like day 33 down at ground zero, day 44 down at ground zero. It was like the same thing over and over in replay. You get on the cable networks and even in the local networks. They're saying, how many the death toll was. It kept rising. It was soon later that, they called it the pile. Anybody who was working on those sites, at ground zero, they call it the pile. And what we would later learn would be that it was toxic. And, they're ingesting the fumes that were, very, poisonous to their health. That's what it was so, sad. But I digress again. Hip hop. Hip hop was made much better by this battle. This is what helped keep a new injection into the arm. It was a shot in the arm, to be a cliche. That hip hop continued despite the grim reality of what was going on around it. Everybody wanted to see what will be his next diss. How's he going to diss him then? And I could tell. I'm not going to say I'm a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't, have tarot cards. But I'm just going to say this objectively. Jay-Z and Nas were going to have a reconciliation in the future. I didn't know when or know how. But in each of their albums that dropped in 2002, Nas's son, what's his God? Nas, okay, Jay-Z's album, Blueprint 2, and Nas's album Godson, they legitimately go at each other, but it's not in the same fashion as their previous efforts. They talk about, you came up this way, you started your life, and you I respect the one idea of what you're saying, but I don't respect this part. Like Jay-Z said, is it Uchi Wally Wally or is it one mic? Is it black girl lost or shorty you owe me for ice? That's what I'm talking about. He's like saying he's enjoying some of his music, but he's not enjoying all of it. He said, even in the takeover, he said you had a spark when you started, but now you're just garbage. See? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. And then Nas said, the Hawaiian Sophie fame, that was Jay-Z's, I think his first video ever. He came in and said, about him being with Jazzo and going through his career. They had a very objective way of saying what they wanted to say on the record. And that I do applaud and laud them for doing that. Okay, so we're getting down to the wire. I might go over time. I'm going over time. 2003, huge year. 2002, huge year for Nelly and Eminem. I was enjoying, the backlash that Eminem had in his song, guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. And he's dressed up like Osama bin Laden in the fatigues or the camis. And he's got the beard and everything. He's just poking his eye at evil. I know a lot of people will say, you can't poke your eye at evil at all the time, but this was a time where he was able to do it. I appreciate that. And then Nelly, Nelly's is one of his last hurrahs. He had pimp juice. He had all kinds of different ways of flowing. And I'm just giving my journey and what comes to my mind. But 2003 was a huge year. 2003 was 50 Cent's year. That was all 50 Cent. And a little bit of the Yin Yang Twins. Yin Yang Twins had the song "To the Window, to the Wall," and there was an introduction by a young man named Kanye West, now formerly known as that, now known as Ye. He had "Through the Wire," and that just blew the hinges off the doors of hip hop. It blew the hinges off. It let people know that he was definitely on the path of greatness, and he took greatness. He fell from that greatness. He fell from grace. But at that time, 2003, 2004, nobody was stopping him. The only people who were stopping him were people outside of hip hop. Nora Jones, I don't know whose idea, marketing, said, you know what? Let's have him first week go against Nora Jones. She sold like 20 million albums the last time she sold an album. Don't know why I didn't come. Pause. But no, it was bad marketing because he came in second with like strong, like 400,000. I don't know. It was something crazy like that. We all know what he did in the second album. He was able to shrug off the sophomore slump with Late Registration. And these two records, these albums, got heavy play in my sister's 94, I think, or 93 Red Century we call it Squatter. But we listen to it every day. It's Alicia Keys, Jay-Z's Black Album, and Kanye West College Dropout. The censored version, of course. But going into 2005, it was like a free for all again. You had Houston coming up. You had people that that were already in the game that were coming through. Lil Flip. You had Slim Thug. You had Mike Jones. You had Paul Wall. Still tipping. That was the cut. I love that record. 2006, you had, let me see, make sure. I'm making 100% sure, so y'all don't yell at me. All right, so you have Rick Ross, you have Rick Ross at that time, you had Lupe Fiasco, and sadly, I must say, you had Rich Boy. Rich Boy, I thought was going to take over the game. There are a few people that I thought were going to take over the game. I thought Silk the Shocker was going to take over the game. I thought Joel Santana was going to take over the game. Yes, definitely Rich Boy. Yeah, Mass, where you're from, Chelsea Jackson? Where are you from, ma'am? What state you rep? What city you rep? Rep your city. Okay, North Carolina. Okay, what Durham or Salem, Winston? Winston Salem. Yeah, that's how you say it. But yeah, that was 2006. 2006 was a big year for all three of them. If only Rich Boy had lasted, that would have been great. Rick Ross was the top, then Lupe, then Rich Boy. Lupe did his thing. He sold millions of albums and millions of songs. You know, he had singles that were galore. You know, Salisbury, okay, between Charlotte, Winston, and Greensboro. Okay, good to go. Thank you. I love the fact that people in the South are paying attention to my grind. Lovely ladies like yourself. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. um, but actually you are, because you sent me that money. I appreciate that very much. But exactly. But no, it's 2007. What's 2007? I'm missing people. I'm just going through the years. I'm missing people all over the place. Don't yell at me all you want on the comment section. Oh, you missed out on him. You didn't get to him. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, darling. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so we have 2007. I'm going over time. I usually go for an hour, but I didn't know I was going to talk this much. I'm running my mouth. 2007. That was Soldier Boy's year. Nobody, I don't care. You can talk about it. I went to the Marine Corps. I was there for 13 weeks in Paradise Island. You might even know about it, Chelsea Jackson. That's South Carolina, I know, but y'all are in the Carolinas. But I was trained to become a Marine. I was recruited, then I became a Marine. When I got out of that off of that island, I came on the mainland, and all I heard was you. That's all I heard. I was like, what is this? He was on the charts for I think 7 weeks straight, number one. 7 weeks straight. That's amazing. That was another, MC Hammer moment again. But I think Soldier Boy has been able to have a little bit of longevity. He's lost his a little bit of his star power. You have to be honest, but he still is in the game. His net worth may be in the negative, but he's he's doing. He's still making mixtapes. He's making whatever he can. Music he's producing. But that was his year. And sadly, that was Chad Butler, aka Pimp C, his death year. And a lot of people died before, but I know for this instance that I was in boot camp during this, and exactly, Chelsea, exactly. You're exactly right. We were doing this dance all year. It was crazy. It was wild. Everybody was on that. He was. This is why he says he's the first on so many things. First rapper to have game console. First rapper to have a record to go this way and have a dance to it and stuff like that. And it's like that's true. He definitely did that. He did that. But he definitely dominated that year. That's when hip hop changed. Hip hop had a revolution. It was ringtone rap. It was, it was hip hop you could listen to on your your iPod still. iPods were still hot. iPad nanos were hot. All that was going on at the same time. That was before the iPhone came in. And look at 2008. 2008 is almost a blur to me because I didn't have too much information about hip hop at that time. I was in the Marine Corps. I was locked in until I got to the fleet, which is, when you get to the level of being an actual Marine, when you're in the seriousness, you're not in school, you're not in boot camp anymore, you're not in MCT or Marine Corps training, you're not in MOS school, which is military occupational specialty school. You're in the real life. This is live. Okay, this is action that is happening right now. And the records that got me through were T.I. Paper Trail, were Kanye West Graduation, which was a year earlier, and of course, Jeezy's The Recession. Jeezy's The Recession brought it to my attention that America was going crazy. The economy was spiraling. People were losing jobs. People were losing their houses. It was a big mess. And I'm putting this lightly. The causes were because of they said subprime mortgages, but the idea was the fact that government had a stranglehold on the market because of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But I digress. Let's talk about hip hop. 2009. Oh, what happened in 2009? I want to say, what was it? That was like Mano. I'm losing track of time. I remember further back than I remember recently. But I think there are people coming up. Troy Star Terrain restarted his brand of viciously attacking hip hop with his objective views in 2009 with the help of Vlad TV. I would tune in every day. That was amazing. He had like over 100 million views, something like that. And that, helped Vlad TV gain more subscribers. He's at 5 million subscribers right now. So that was partially because of Star and Buck Wild, Troy Star Terrain, and his brother Timothy Joseph. So let's get to 2010. 2010 was I think it was Roscoe Dash and Wiz Khalifa. The ever evolving changes, in hip hop. That was, one of the greatest. They were young guys. They're talking that good stuff. He's talking black and yellow. And Roscoe Dash, and he's all the way turned up. I might get copyright strikes now. Please shield me from these copyright strikes. But no, 2011. What happened in 2011? We had a few people come out. Future was just getting his career started. He's in my top 40, I think. Future was just popping. Few other artists. 2012, you had Kanye was still popping. Let me go back again. 2010, monumental album. After the Taylor Swift issue, after all the different media blunders, Kanye West, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, Ye, came out with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy with the companion DVD to go along with it. That's what set my mind ablaze, set my mind afire, and kept me going through, working at Starbucks, of all places. A great place to work, by the way. Just very low pay. You're not going to get paid much, but you have a good time working. But fast forward again to 2012, you had people like Kanye West and 2 Chainz and Big Sean, and they're going back and forth. And of course, 2012 was a big, huge year, humongous year for drill rap. The underground, the subgenre of hip hop, drill rap, came onto the scene and blew everybody away. Everybody. Nobody knew what to make of it. They're like, "What are they talking? Are they talking about real people in this song?" It's like they're saying real people's names. What's going on in this song? What are they doing? Like you weren't sure what was happening, but it all coalesced into one idea of what drill rap happened to be. 2013, again, Kanye West comes up with a monumental album. He has 4 monumental albums and lesser classics. His fourth album was Yeezus. Yeezus, definitely ripped the hinges off everything. He went platinum off of a sound that nobody was expecting. This was like African Bambaataa, which is suspect right now. But this comes on the heels of his previous endeavors, and he just didn't care. He didn't care what people thought about or heard he would say. He said everything that was off the wall, off the charts, off everything. It was just completely chaos, but it was formed and codified into one cohesive element, one CD. And look at that, CDs. This is the time period where he had the CD in a case, like it was a casket. He had no album, cover or, booklet or anything like that. He just had the CD, a piece of tape, and the crystal case. That's all he had. Because he knew, he had it in his mind, he knew what was going to happen to the CD. He knew it was going to die away. Even though CDs are still produced, they're not in the same function as, ironically, vinyl, which is an older way of listening to music. But he knew that streaming was going to be the hot new thing. Streaming would take people to another place. And in 2013, that's what happened. 2014, you have people like you have people on the mic that represented for all their different issues. Let me see. You have Nicki Minaj. Like I said, she's number 3. She's number 3 on the list. Nicki Minaj is on the list. She was still popping. She's still popping today. She's still hot in more ways than one. And of course, I have to go back in time. Again, 2009 was another year. It was a year for who? Who was big, who was still popping? Drizzy Drake. Drake came through and completely dusted everybody else. I call him the LeBron James of hip hop. He has that charisma. He has that idealism about him. He has that, arguments for goats. Who's better? Does he come out on top? Is he the best artist? That's one of the things we have to contend with. Should he be considered, a spoken word artist? Should be considered, just a singer who happens to rap? But he's still he's relevant and a factor. Some people are just relevant. Some people are factors. But he's both. So I'm gonna go up to, let me see. We got like 7 more years to go. 2015, Travis Scott, of course. Travis Scott was on here. I'm gonna get to everybody. I'm just gonna fast forward, to different parts of the. Salute to you, Sir Richard James. Respect Respect the target. A lady has come through. Her name is Chelsea Jackson. She has dropped off $50. I appreciate every single dollar. So if you have the chance, you can do likewise. You can do a little more, a little less, do whatever you can. Yeah, lady, exactly. I'll give her that much, benefit of the doubt. She seems like a good person if she's giving me $15. Seems like a lady. Um, so you have a different point of view. You have a different point of view in whom you have in hip hop because it seems like the last person to really make it big on the male side was Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, the high turn, I double it. I double it every time I reach 2 or 3 days in a row. And yesterday was yesterday. I noticed I had what I had $35, and then I had $5 from the previous day, so $100 back to back. So I'm doing $80. She chipped in 15, so that makes it $65. So I appreciate you, chipping in with whatever you can do, whatever you can do. But I'm gonna skip over some years because it looks like hip hop has actually stagnated. But what is so great about right now are the ladies. You've got Megan Thee Stallion, you got Cardi B, you got Nicki Minaj, you got the City Girls, you got Glorilla, you got all these women who are affecting and changing the course of hip hop. They're finally getting their shine. This is like a renaissance of ladies. It's like a rebirth of what the women can do in the game. I agree with you, James. You have to give me specific examples of how he's the worst. I'll wait. I'll wait. So, with that being said, it's what I think is the most powerful statement, to say about hip hop is that it's for anybody and everybody that has skill, who has the ability, who has the charisma and the likability and the that aura about them. There's something about them that makes them seem larger than life. Okay, give me a corny bar. Give me a corny bar, Richard James. Give me an example of a corny bar. I'm telling you, I have to, you know, disagree with you wholeheartedly. Kendrick Lamar is definitely one of the hottest rappers ever to touch a mic, one of the greatest MCs to ever touch a mic. And obviously, there are people I didn't mention. There's Black Thought, Jadakiss. I didn't mention Jadakiss as one of my top five, but I didn't go into detail. I don't have a problem with that. That's boasting. That's bragging. And what's the next line? At the world for more than 12 hours or something like that? Richard James. Right now, sir, I have to respect you, but at the same time, I have to say you're a freeloader. You're freeloading on the show. I appreciate you for reading the story and sharing it. And a ruler of the kingdom of the air, by the way. That's the only drop I'll say for this broadcast. But um what I'm saying is hip hop, is I'm just saying rappers. I mean, look at all the stylists, Dapper Dan, the entrepreneurs, Jay Prince, the street knowledge, KRS-One. He's a rapper as well, but he has street knowledge. Same thing with Chuck D. Chuck D has street knowledge. But that's the power of hip hop. That's the beauty of hip hop. It's Dapper Dan's. Dapper Dan, sir. So if you have any idea of what we have to do with hip hop, recognize and realize that once again, this is a black man's art form. And it just is appropriated by everybody else from white, Latino to everyone across the globe. Hip hop is an international issue, an international force. It's for everybody. Anybody can get in this game, anybody can get out of this game. That's the beauty of it. And it's gone all over the world. It's international. So say my final piece, I'll say, salute to all those in hip hop who have made a way for themselves and others, who have been selfish, have been rational, have known what it means to get at a dollar, know what it means, the fact that this is a genre today, especially on its official birthday, August 11th, 1973 was the birth of hip hop. They can cite that officially. So, 50 more years to hip hop. That's all I can say. So I thank you very much for rolling with me. Thank you, Richard James, for lending your pieces. I disagree with you, but Chelsea, thank you very much, young lady, Chelsea Jackson, for chipping in $15. And I don't know if I'll see you tomorrow, but most likely I will. And thank you very much again. And salute to hip hop. Take care. Oh wait, what? Hold on, I'm back on. I usually don't do this, but I'm back on. It's Snoop Dogg's birthday as well. Hold on. Exactly. I'm on. Hold on, because I just saw it. That's what happens in the chat. Everybody wants to say something after I'm about to leave. That's the weird part is. I'm on here for about 20 minutes and nobody says anything. Then I say I'm out. Oh, we'll see you. Oh, okay. Bye-bye. Have a good one. Take care. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, it's not Snoop Dogg's birthday. I don't know where you're getting that from. Richard James, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not Snoop Dogg's birthday. His birthday is in October. Now I definitely gotta leave because I was gonna go, a little bit further with Snoop, but his birthday is October 20th, 1971. I don't know where you're getting your stories from, but all right. But anyway, that was fun. I went over this, probably my longest show ever, and I got $15 out of it, which I'm very proud of and I appreciate. So thank you very much, and I will see you in the future. Take care.